I'm in the show.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Thanks for joining tonight. Tonight's going to be kind of a fun one. Now, tonight is one of those, I guess it's kind of a little bit of an introduction to something I want to start doing a little bit more with the channel and kind of just doing something else that I'm, somewhat passionate about with the cigars and all of that. And fortunately, Joseph, who's in here tonight, everybody knows him as the old BRAZER. So he was nice enough to send me a few cigars. So more than a few, but which I appreciate. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Obviously
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. So tonight we're going to do, we got Jason. Everybody knows Jason too. So he was also a recipient of the BRAZER's generosity and sent him a few cigars. So he was nice enough to join us tonight as well. And we're going to do a little bit of a pairing, and I wanted Joseph to kind of run a little bit with this and kind of we're actually going to go between a couple of different things. So we'll talk about it as we get going a little bit. So I guess Joseph, do you want to kind of explain a little bit regarding how you want to kind of pair some things and what we're going to try to do tonight?
Well, yeah, basically I started this off with two different cigars, same manufacturer. One is dark and it's earthy and it's got some black pepper and coffee and some cocoa powder. The other one is brighter, spicier, has more floral notes, more cedar, more baking spices. So, they're both about the same strength and they're both medium to full body. They're kind of polar opposites in the flavor department. So I was hoping we would match those. We would pair those up with two bourbons that are also kind of polar opposites, but both still having similar strengths and fruits. Something earthy and sweet and dark and smoky, and then another bourbon, maybe like a Four Roses or New Riff, something that's spicier, brighter, more floral, more baking spices. And they go back and forth between the two bourbons and the two cigars to see which we like best. A lot of people think you should try to match flavors. I'm the other way around. I think you should go opposite flavors. So the cigar we're smoking right now is Perez Carrillo. Jason's just smoking whatever he had on iron, which is fun. Yeah, I don't know how you can tell. But,
so I think Joseph and I.
Go ahead.
No, I think you and I had the same thing. Jason's got something a little bit different.
Correct.
Like a Swisher Sweet, I think he's got.
Yeah, Jason. He's got one of those Italian weirdo things.
Yeah. This is a Marlboro filtered.
Yeah, that's a manly cigarette right there. All right, so this is the one.
So anyway, I thought we'd try this because.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just saying because a lot of people think you should try to match flavors. You should try to pick a cigar that's a good match for the bourbon. And the big reason you shouldn't do that is if you've got a bright spicy bourbon and a bright spicy cigar, you're going to blow out your palate in 10 minutes. It's just too much of the same thing over and over again. You go opposite. If you contrast, you go dark and earthy versus, bright and spicy. Basically, they each one resets the palate. The bourbon will reset your palate for the cigar, and the cigar will reset your palate for the bourbon. But we'll test this, and we'll also do the matchy match and see what we think.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. So right now, I've got paired with this. I've got I'm gonna start off with. I got a little bit of the Joseph Magnus, the cigar blend, bold, sweet, a little bit of spice. It's a good balanced, high proof bourbon, and then I've got a little bit of the Russell's Reserve. So we'll pair that as well later. So that's what I've got. I've got a little bit of the Four Roses small batch select as well. So we'll see how that goes. So I gotta go back. So Mike,
Jason, what you drinking?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
So for this, when I smelled the cigar, and again, thank you, Joseph, for sending it along. He sent us a little package for my birthday. So this is a Rosalones from Nicaragua. It definitely smelled a little bit sweet, a little bit spicy, had a very, very slight citrus character that I was picking up. So I grabbed Smoke Wagon. This is a pick, which is MGP High Rye to try with it. I also grabbed some Old Forester 1910 to see how that coffee espresso would go with, kind of the balance on this cigar. And then, of course, later to join you guys, I grabbed the Russells as well. So
yeah, that's right. We're all going to try this because this goes with everything.
Yeah.
Well,
So
Chad
Hawley
agreed too.
Okay. I'm working on a Knob Creek store pick. It's 15 years old, and this is like a sniffers bomb. It's chocolate and caramel peanuts all day. It's not bright and spicy anyway. Cheers, everyone.
Yeah, those Knob Creek,
yep.
those Knob Creek 14-year, 15-year picks are really perfect cigar or bourbons as well.
Cheers. Yeah. Cheers, guys.
I got this one from the land. Thanks, Kat.
Boy, that really with the Magnus cigar blend this really brought out for me, like in the Magnus, it really brought out that little more of the rye. It kind of cut down a little bit of the sweetness, brought out a little bit more of the spice. I think it's probably working off of the spice, the little bit of the cedar that I'm getting from the cigar. So that's nice.
Oh wow. So the Smoke Wagon, that slight citrus spice I was getting in this cigar, it completely got magnified when I took a sip of this.
Yeah.
And then I think the cigar is bringing out a little bit more of a chocolate note too in the Smoke Wagon, which is really, really interesting, as well as some of those woody notes, which is really great.
Yeah, it actually the cigar for me on this one with the Magnus already having several finishes in it, it actually cut a little bit of the sweetness and brought out a little bit more of the pepper and spice in the Magnus than some of the sweetness. So, which was not something you get very often. If you're just sipping on that Magnus cigar blend, you do get the bold, but it's always very sweet because there's like 3 different finishings and stuff in that. But it's definitely cut a little bit of the sweetness on it. So.
Yeah, but some of those, the Joseph Magnus, when you actually smoke a bold cigar with that, you pick up the Armagnac and the Cognac, and the sherry. That's all in that, cigar blend. I mean, different cigars bring out different flavors within that Magnus cigar blend, which is why I think it's such a great whiskey for cigars.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this one kind of like starts to change a little bit. So as you get into like the first, second, third of the cigar, to see what those kind of flavors start to really do. So
yeah.
Well, that's why me personally, I think it's important that you don't match too much, because a spicy cigar and a spicy bourbon, they'll just amplify the spices of each other. So they'll amplify the citrus. And after a while, you just kind of burn out your palate. It gets fatigued with all of the flavors just kind of stacking up on each other.
Yeah. Yeah,
it'll be interesting in a little bit when we go to the other cigar, which is dark and earthy, and we'll AB those with the bourbons, and then you'll be able to. I think you'll like it better.
Yeah, so I can see like this. So you're looking for something a little bit like sweeter, floral, maybe a little more like citrus notes and something to kind of counteract.
No, that was exactly. You're going to want something, like a Four Roses, something like that. So I think contrast is better with drinking and smoking than matchy match.
Yeah,
I would agree with that. I like something.
As I was explaining earlier, you kind of reset your palate after each puff and each sip, as opposed to just compounding the same flavors over and over again on top of your palate.
So Chad Hawley right now, he's got a nice an Ashton with a double oak. So you've got really two kind of opposites there. So I'm assuming the Ashton maybe he's got, I don't know if it's a Connecticut wrapper or not, but maybe that's a little bit lighter, and then he's kind of pairing it with the double oak. So that could be a really nice pairing right there.
Yeah, because that Ashton, the Connecticut wrapper, that's kind of an almond cedar creamy. That definitely has a creamy quality to it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's probably going to go pretty well.
Yeah,
it'll double.
Yeah, and that's what he's got. He's got the double oak, so that could really bring out some of that chocolate and sweetness in that double oak. So
absolutely,
I like that. That's a good one.
This cigar also. So I just had a sip of the Old Forester 1910 with this, and the cigar actually helped. I don't know, maybe because my palate's used to it. It actually muted the intense woody flavors you get in the 1910, and it just made it really vanilla forward, which is incredible.
Yeah.
I would expect some of those some of that burnt toast with cinnamon sugar on it. I would imagine some of that to kind of ramp up, because I've always kind of got that on the 1910.
Yeah, vanilla and
other than the oak and that, but like cinnamon sugar on toast, it's a little too done.
Yeah, getting definitely vanilla, cinnamon. Man, that's really interesting.
Yeah, it's such a sweet bourbon. That's the one thing with the 1910. It's so sweet, Oh, so Chad didn't have a Connecticut. He had a sun grown before. So
sun-growns are great. Good
they are.
Chad Holly.
Yeah, that's a really nice pairing.
That one's it's pretty full bodied. Also a bit earthy, a bit spicy. Yeah, I would imagine that'd be a good with the double oak.
Yeah,
and it's a pretty high proof cigar too. Because I've always been I've been smoking cigars since 1995. I used to put together cigar menus in a restaurant that I had in Omaha. I put the wine list together, and then someone had to, because this was at the beginning of the cigar boom. So we put in a humidor and a little cigar lounge, and nobody knew anything about cigars at the time. So I had recently quit smoking, so I took it upon myself to become the cigar guy in the restaurant. So that's my history. That's how I came to cigars.
Yeah, and and that's interesting that you do more of your pairings where you've got more like head to head. Where you're I shouldn't say that. Not like where you're going like bold and spicy, but like a lot of people I know will try to go, they'll try to go strength for strength or, whatever it may be. So, I know you actually,
no, when it comes to like nicotine strength. Now don't be fooled by something that's full bodied.
Yeah.
Because like a cigar, they say, it's full bodied and people will think it's too strong for them. Well, cigars and bourbon have so much in common. Like the Woodford Double Oak, it's full bodied. It's got a lot of layers of flavor and a lot of mouthfeel and all that. But it's not high proof. It's not strong.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of cigars are also, they're real rich and full bodied and all that, but they're not strong.
Yeah.
So personally, I do tend to match strength for strength. Because if you're drinking a Logic Craig barrel proof and like a Macanudo, guess what? Yeah. That bourbon's going to stomp all over that cigar.
Yeah.
But then if you're smoking something that's got a high Ligero content, like a real strong cigar, and with a Buffalo Trace or a Basil Hayden, that cigar is going to kill the bourbon.
Yeah.
So if you're going high proof in bourbon, you want to go high proof in cigar as well. For shits and giggles, try this one now with the Four Roses. See what you think.
So Joseph, explain like what a high proof cigar means. So if you're like for newbies or someone looking into cigars, what's considered a high proof cigar? Is it the wrapper? Is it the type? What do you consider a high proof cigar?
Well, the blends that go into cigars, there's the wrapper, the binder, and the filler. If the wrapper, there's a couple wrappers that tend to be stronger. Those are the Salvaron wrappers, and like the Corojo wrappers, they tend to be, amped up. But the biggest indicator of deciding whether or not a cigar is strong, that's the kind that, if you're a newbie, you'll get the sweats and you turn green and maybe barf a little. It depends on how much Ligero is in it. That's on the tobacco plant. There's the Seco and the Viso and the Ligero as you go further up the tobacco plant. The Ligero is at the top. It gets the most sun, sucks up most of the stuff from the stem. Those Ligero leaves are powerful. I mean, they don't necessarily have to be spicy, but they've got the nicotine kick, which basically is the equivalent of proof in a cigar.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's a very interesting point because like strength and full bodied, it's a little bit kind of confusing sometimes because you can still have a full bodied cigar that's not super strong. So I know, and I guess Joseph, you can explain to some of the others too, but because it's one of those things where sometimes a lot of people are under the impression that the darker it is, the stronger it is, which is not always the case. So
it's actually usually not the case. It's just a different flavor profile. Now, Maduro wrap cigars, you're right. People think, "Ooh, that's going to be too strong for me."
Yeah.
That's almost never the case. To make a Maduro wrapper, you're basically taking any of the other wrappers. You can use Connecticut's, you can use the Havana seeds, the Barojos, Criollos, Cameroons, just the different wrappers, the Sumatras. What they do to make it Maduro is they cook it. They put it in the big tobacco pilon, the big giant bale, all right, and they keep it moist and they let it cook. Well, basically, as the temperature rises inside the pilon, it burns off all the chlorophyll that's in a tobacco leaf. All right. So you're just cooking the tobacco leaf. It's not getting stronger. It's just getting sweeter and earthier, and it's bringing more chocolate, coffee type notes to it. And so, like the Ashton Maduro, it's just a regular Ashton wrapper, like a Connecticut, but it's cooked. It cooks itself in the pilon to get dark. And you find it's no stronger than a regular, Connecticut wrapped Ashton.
Yeah.
It's just a different flavor profile.
Yeah. That's why I think a lot of people, like when they're first starting out, they need to go, they probably need to start out with something that's, very like maybe, medium bodied at best. So you don't just get blown away right away,
I usually suggest people go with something that's medium bodied. Because if you get them like an Ashton Connecticut, which is very, very mild, or a Macanudo, which is very, very mild, they'll take the first few puffs and I go, I don't know what the big deal is.
Yeah.
So you want to give them something that's got a little more flavor.
Yeah.
Something that's got like a Habano wrap, or maybe a Sumatra. Something that's it's medium bodied, medium strength.
Yeah.
It's like the difference between a Knob Creek and a Basil Hayden.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a very good analogy. And that's exactly the way it is because, you start off with something that's full bodied and full strength. You'll be buzzing in no time. You'll just be, and God forbid if you haven't had something to drink or whatever, whether it's water or a soda or something,
or eat,
another very important thing. The room will be spinning on you. So I'm only saying that
I started
experience.
Now I've only started in the high proof stuff the past couple of years.
Yeah.
I spent my life drinking, Jim Beam, Manhattan's, just drinking on the rocks. And, my first step was into Woodford Reserve and Elijah Craig and Eagle Rare. Those are steps up, but they weren't kick in the teeth kind of thing. The past couple of years is when I became a proof hound and drinking meat.
Yeah.
But the progression is the same with cigar smokers. Eventually you work your way up.
Well, are you finding so like with you being like more experience and all of that, and your palate is very developed from that standpoint. You probably can you probably could smoke something that's, full bodied, a stronger flavor, even with something that's lower proof, and still pull out a lot of the, what each has to offer.
Usually, well, it depends on the proof too. Again, if you got a strong cigar, you're going to want a high proof.
Yeah.
Or else one will just step on the other one. You won't be able to taste the, a milder stick or the high proof bourbon. It's just smoke. It's not flavor.
Yeah.
Hi, Clifton.
That's the one. That is the one thing. I think that's a really good point. I mean, if you get something that's very, a mild, medium body, and you try to pair it with something that's kind of a full proof type of bourbon, yeah, I mean, you won't even taste the cigar at that point.
Yeah, like I said, it's just smoke. You may as well be smoking a cigarette, basically.
I wanted to go back to.
You want to be able to get flavors.
I wanted to go back to what Will said before. So he had in college, he went with the big boy. He was like with the Ashton Churchill.
Well, it depends on which blend of the Ashton. If it was,
that's true. That's true.
The Virgin Sovereign, and he started off up here. Churchill just means it's going to smoke a lot longer.
Yeah, you need probably a good hour and a half on that.
Well, here's some tidbits on choosing a cigar. The fatter the cigar, the more the filler leaves are going to impact the flavor. And the filler leaves will have 5, 6 different kinds of tobacco from different locations on the plant. So, but the smaller cigars like the Cuban Coronas and the Lanceros and Panatellas, that has a much higher wrapper to filler ratio.
Yeah.
So you're going to get a lot more of the wrapper flavors on skinnier cigars. So if you got like a sun-grown wrapper on a Lancero or a Panatella, you're going to get mostly that sun-grown, which means it's going to be more peppery and spicy and probably just a little bit stronger, depending on the wrapper.
Yeah.
So the big fat cigars, for one, they usually smoke cooler because you pull in air through such a wide aperture, whereas skinnier cigars are going to smoke hotter and feel stronger than they really are. So Churchill is, it's about 50 ring gauge and 7 inches long. So it's going to smoke cooler and fool you into thinking it's not as strong.
Yeah.
Even if it's got more Ligero and stuff like that in it. But, because it's just fatter and the smoke is cooler. Whereas if you go down a step, something skinnier, it's going to smoke warmer because you're drawing that air through a smaller aperture.
Yeah.
And even if it's not stronger, it's going to fool you into thinking it's stronger because it smokes a little warmer.
Yeah, and I know, like it's like maybe within the last year or so, the Lancero has become like very popular. A lot of people want them and they want to smoke them, and I think, like you said before, just to piggyback off of that, a lot of times people think because it's such a small ring gauge that there's not going to be any like power or strength to it, and it can be the complete opposite. I mean, you can get some very full bodied, really, really strong, Lanceros that you got to be careful with. So
yeah. Well, it used to be the Panatellas and Coronas, Coronas, Lanceros, back in the history of cigar manufacturing. Those were kind of the most common. All the cigars coming out of Cuba, pre-embargo. The fat cigar, the Robustos and Toros and Churchills, and now these little short fat, those little stubby ones.
Yeah.
Those have become very popular these days. Some of the marketing, the gimmicks, is that you get to the sweet spot quicker if you it doesn't work that way, because as you smoke a cigar, some of those essential oils and things like that, they build up in the tobacco as you smoke it. So with these nubs, which are like 3 inches by 60 ring gauge, like, you get to that sweet spot quicker. No, you don't.
Yeah. That's very true. All right, so here you can answer this for Mike Meyer. Any beginner cigar recommendations? Okay. What would you recommend?
What would I recommend?
I know that's a tough.
Some of the Olivas. The Oliva Connecticut, even though it's a Connecticut, it's medium bodied, has a lot of flavor. Some of the other Olivas, like just they call them, the naturals. There's Oliva O, that's a good one. The Oliva G's. They're basically the same cigar. They just have different wrappers. Some of the Perdomos, I'd stay away from like the champagne because that's just super mild and mellow. Some of those. Also, country of origin makes a big difference. Dominican cigars tend to be lighter and milder. Hondurans have a little more flavor. Nicaraguans have the most flavor.
Some good power.
Tobacco.
Yeah,
power and flavor. I smoke almost exclusively Nicaraguans. Yeah. Now, Cubans, I'm not a huge Cuban fan. That being said, if you get a really good Cuban, it's magical. And I've had some of my favorite cigars ever been Cubans because I just found the good ones. Generally speaking, though, these days, especially the quality control on Cuban cigars is not like it used to be. Yeah. You're going to get a lot of plugged cigars. You're going to get a lot of funky, blotchy wrappers.
Or fake ones.
And that's probably because, what's that?
Or fake ones. There's so many fake Cubans nowadays that it's difficult to know. That's with Cubans, it's really difficult. I mean, you've got to really know. And a lot of times it's impossible until you get smoking it and you start smoking it and you've got a big, like kind of a big hole in it where there's no tobacco or whatever. I mean, I've had
a big tunnel. Yeah.
You got it. Some fake ones. And sometimes you just don't know what those things. So
I'm a big fan of I'm a big fan of the Rocky Patels.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, the next one you got to try as far as Rocky Patel. Part of the problem with Rocky Patel, he's got a lot of great sticks and he's got a lot of sticks. Yeah. But he makes about 100 sticks.
Yeah. A lot.
So you have to, when you find a Rocky Patel you like, stick with it.
Yeah. I'm a big.
It's a great stick.
See, and I'm a big fan of their sun-grown Edge cigar. Like that's one that I really like. I think it's a really good cigar.
Yeah, for me, one of my everyday go-tos is the Edge Sumatra.
Oh yeah,
Patel. That's one of those I could find easily, at least around here, and I could pick up those. Yeah. That cigar.
I love a Sumatra wrapper too. Is fantastic. So
and that's one of those wrappers that's not unless they pick on a sun-grown Sumatra or part of the Ligero part. Most of the Sumatra wrappers are just kind of in medium. They're Secos and Vizos that they use. So lots of flavor without lots of power. I will say this about Cubans though. Yeah. Cubans have a distinct flavor profile that you either love or you hate. It's called the Cuban twang. It's kind of a tanginess, a little sour.
Yeah.
It's a particular Cuban note. You either love it or hate it, and I hate it.
You kind of nailed it because like with most Cubans, I get this like grapefruity aspect. There's always this tangy, like very kind of like bitter grapefruit. Yep. It's a citrus, but it's like a grapefruity kind of note to it.
Yeah.
All right. Here's a good one.
So have you tried this cigar with the Four Roses yet?
I haven't fired this one up. I'm going to do that real quick. So here's a good.
Try this one. Try this one. Go away from the madness and try the Four Roses.
All right. Here's a good topic right here. So Chad brought up a good one. How do you guys prefer to cut your cigar? He said he recently switched to a punch and he loves it. And I've had problems sometimes with punch. I guillotine everything.
Smoke cigars. It's like bourbon. You drink what you like. You smoke what you like.
Yeah.
You drink bourbon neat or on the rocks or with water. Cut your cigar the way you like to.
Yes. Yeah. So that's the thing.
So I'm not gonna.
Yeah, that's the thing that's interesting. I've tried punch, and you have to get it right in order to. I feel like because I was having a hard time at first.
Yeah.
Like doing it right. But when you do it right,
well, the secret with a punch is you have to get one that's razor sharp.
Yeah.
If it's not razor sharp, all you're going to do is smash the head of the cigar. You just crush it.
Exactly.
So it has to be razor sharp to punch it out.
Yeah.
Well, you know,
if it's not.
Yeah, and here's another issue sometimes with punch, and sometimes you won't know it until you maybe cold draw something, but sometimes you don't realize or know necessarily how well or how tight of a draw you're going to have, how well it's packed, because if it's sometimes really hard packed, a draw or a punch just sometimes doesn't do it. You end up having to punch it several times to create a bigger hole. So, but
yeah, it doesn't give you enough aperture to draw through. Now keep this in mind too. These cigars that we're smoking are all handmade. So you're going to get some stinkers. You're going to get some that are tunneled, underfilled. You're going to get some that are overfilled and won't draw. They're like 10 spikes. That's kind of the nature of handmade items. I've spent $40 on cigars that were so plugged, I just had to throw them away.
Yeah,
that happens. If you get one that's plugged or it's tunneled, so you're getting mostly air.
Yeah,
throw it away. Doesn't matter how much you spent on it. Life's too short to dick around with a cigar that's not built right.
I've had some that are they're so tightly packed. I mean, I've had to poke it. I don't even 20 times just to get some airflow through it. I'm like, this is more work than I want to do for this cigar. I can tell you that.
Don't waste your time.
No. All right.
So have you tried it with the Four Roses yet?
I'm doing that right now. That's what this is. A little bit of the Four Roses Select.
I'm going with the Discovery. Woo, that's a lot brighter and spicier coming off of this cigar.
So for me, I like the pairing of this and the Four Roses Small Batch Select more. For me, this is
you're totally allowed to.
Yeah, and this is a little brighter. It brought out a lot of the sweetness in the bourbon, but also as you got into this, like the second third of this got a little more peppery, a little more cedar, more spice to it. So they really kind of played well.
This is how they kind of amp each other up a bit.
Yeah.
If you like that spiciness and the floral notes of the Four Roses, then you're gonna like it better.
Yeah.
But again, it's going to amp up those same things in the cigar. They're going to build on each other.
This pairing, the Four Roses Small Batch Select, and this was I think a great. I like this pairing much better than I did the Magnus. So
I can't vouch for the Magnus. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. This cigar goes much better with this 15-year Snickers bomb.
I never could pull out a lot of different flavors from the bourbon and never really did much of anything. Now, again, I mean, that's still bold and spicy and sweet and everything, but man, the Four Roses, that floral note really, really came through.
It's amped up. Okay, we should probably move on to this one. I know it's kind of a weird thing. We're like, wow, you're just double clutching. But, this is how you do A/B testing with cigars and bourbon, too. You're okay drinking 5 different bourbons during a live stream or doing one of your podcasts. It's okay to smoke more than one cigar at the same time.
That's true. Well. That's true.
So we should get this one lit up and then compare it to those same 2 bourbons and see what they bring out. Now this one, same manufacturer, roughly the same size. This is a Mexican San Andreas wrapper. Obviously darker. San Andreas wrappers tend to be sweeter than, say, like a Connecticut broadleaf, but it's earthy, it's coffee, it's black pepper. This one doesn't particularly have that chocolate sweetness. I get more of a dry cocoa powder on it.
Yeah, I was gonna say just on the
personally,
just on the cold draw of this, it was a lot of cocoa powder.
Yeah, I wouldn't consider this a chocolate. Well,
What's up, Swami?
I think this.
What's up, Swam?
Like, I think the Four Roses on this one will bring out more chocolate notes.
Yeah,
I think.
I'm
about to try it. This is a great stick. Oh, this is the the La Historia. Whereas the first one we were smoking was the Encore. This one was made in the Dominican Republic with all tobacco from Nicaragua. So there's that.
Man, this is much more. This is more chocolate, a little more nuttiness to it.
Sweetness.
Yeah.
A little bit of sweetness. Definitely more earthy and coffee.
Yeah.
So I got this. Somebody in the chat had asked
And
me
actually, maybe a little milder. Sorry.
Somebody in the chat asked me if I was back from New York yet, and I am. I actually picked up this in New York, and I wanted to test it with a cigar tonight. So this is Hill Rock, but this is a double.
That's a Solera?
Yeah, no, this is the double cask rye, which I thought would go really well with a cigar, and it really does. It is on the younger side, so you do get that raw grain note a little bit, but the chocolate in here is being enhanced by the cigar, which is just so delicious.
Oh,
nice.
So, I mean, I think, and that my point was, like, the more I've had younger whiskeys with cigars, the more, like, I don't know, it almost, like a good cigar or a cigar that actually pairs well with it will almost bring out, some flavors in the younger whiskeys that actually make it seem older, or kind of cut down the rawness to it and make it a little bit more, almost make it seem older than it is. It's really good.
Nice.
Yeah, this bottle is beautiful.
Now, I found the that Discovery series that I'm drinking. Which I know it's not high rye, but it's bright and spicy.
Yeah.
That brings out a big graham cracker flavor in the cigar.
I was seeing what Chad said before. He just had I want to go back to that real quick. Chad said, it's amazing to me how much a cigar can change as you smell it. This just went from spicy to nutty halfway through the second and final third. So that's the other nice part about a cigar. You get those thirds of those different flavors, and it'll change, and your experience will change all the way through, which is the nice part about a cigar.
What's happening is that as you smoke a cigar, for one, the filler tobaccos are in different ratios depending on which part of the cigar they're in. So you're going to be getting, different, bits of tobacco in different parts of the cigar. The cigar is also warming up as you smoke it, so that'll affect the flavors. You're also bringing in some of those, the essential oils and the tars and nicotines and that kind of stuff are building as you go. Yeah. Generally speaking, cigars get a little stronger as you smoke them. Generally speaking, not always, but generally. But for one, it's just warming up.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, I really think like that first inch or 3/4 of an inch, you really can't judge a lot yet. You need to let the thing kind of open up and really, start to really heat up in terms of the cigar to get those nice flavors out of it.
Yeah.
So
I call that the neck pour of a cigar.
Yeah, that's a very good analogy.
Is like the neck pour.
Yep.
I mean, it's gonna change.
I mean, nobody likes the first inch of anything, right?
Just the tip.
Yeah.
Just the tip.
Just the tip.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny. One of my favorite cigars out there. It's called Illusione. They make great sticks, but the first half inch has no flavor. I've had friends, I give them the Illusione, I said, oh, this is a great stick. You're going to love it. And they light it up and they puff on it and they go, what's the big deal?
Yeah.
I don't get it. Wait.
Yeah.
And like, and they puff it and I go, yeah, I don't get it, dude. It doesn't taste like anything. And then they hit that like 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch mark, and it explodes. You're like, oh my God, this is so good. That's the neck pour.
Yeah, there's so much sweetness to this. It's ridiculous. This is like such a nice, sweet, balanced cigar. For me, this is what I enjoy. For me, this is what I really like this.
Yeah, this is going to sound a little bit sexual, but when you after you smoke a cigar for a little bit and the flavors on your lips, and then you take a sip of whiskey and you just lick your lips and you get all that flavor that you've been sucking on. Oh my God, it's so good.
Sexy talk.
It was fine until you said sucking on.
Yeah. Sorry I made that dirty and weird, but it's so true.
Yeah.
So
for me,
on its own, this cigar has black pepper. It's black pepper. It's earth. I'm getting like bitter coffee, and then like I said, it's not really chocolatey, but it's got a little bit like a baking cocoa, But then I take the sip of this, which is spicier and brighter.
Well, for me, like with this, I get less pepper and more sweetness than I do a lot of pepper. Like I get, still some of that, like that nutty characteristic to it, but with some of that, there's this like little bit of a chocolate note that I get with this, but it's very, for me, it's very approachable. It's just a really nice stick.
Yeah. The only spice I get on this is a little bit of black pepper. That's it.
So remind me what cigar that is. What's the name of that one?
This is the EP Carrillo, the La Historia.
You guys get that?
These come in boxes of 10 for about $70. I mean, depending on where you go. Let's call it 65 to double that, depending on where you go. You can easily spend $120 on this box of 10. Yeah. And you shouldn't have to.
Yeah. I mean, I would say if like for that range, if you could get this for $7, I think this is a fantastic cigar for $7. I mean, I think it's a fantastic cigar for $10.
Well, it amazes me that people are like, oh my God, I'm going to spend $7 or $10 on a cigar.
Yeah.
If you knew what it took to make a cigar, from seed to box to cigar store, you'd think, oh my God, all cigars should start at $20.
Yeah.
I did the cigar safari 4 years ago down in Nicaragua. That was it was a thing they had with Drew Estate. Drew Estate, most famous for his acid smokes, but his other non-acid smokes like the Liga Privadas and the Unico series. Those are some of the best cigars in the world in history.
Yeah.
The Liga Privada number 9, the T52.
Yeah.
The Dirty Rat, the Ratzilla. I mean, these are amazing cigars. So I went down there for the cigar safari. Basically, you go down, you eat like a king, you drink all the Flor de Caña rum you can handle.
Yeah.
The best coffee in the world. Don't drink the water.
Yeah.
I said they feed you like kings, and you get to smoke all of the cigars you want. All the Ligas, all the hard to come by stuff, the expensive stuff. Smoke all you want. So, but then you go on the tours and they take you to the farm and you see the seeds, and then they put it in the ground, and then they grow it, and then they prune it, and then they harvest it, and then they hang it for aging. And basically, it's the rick house of tobacco.
Yeah.
So they hang it and they age it, and then they pull it down and they bundle it up and put it into pilones to age and to ferment. And then they sort it and then they roll it, and then they bend it, and then they box it, and then they send it off, and then then they age it. After they roll the cigars, they age them in these humidity and refrigerated giant coolers. All right, and then it gets to you, and not ligas, but all this happens, and then it gets to you, and you pay $3 for it. You go, $3? I don't know. I'm like, it should be $20.
Yeah.
Considering how many hands it's gone through.
And I've heard from basically seed to the time somebody is smoking it like we are, that like over 300 hands have touched that whole process to get that one cigar basically to you.
Well, that's one of the questions they ask on the tour. So how many hands have touched it? And people go, 300, 200, look. And the answer is, only God knows.
That's true. That's true. That is
so
true.
So the best part of this cigar safari I went on, I mean, other than, the eating and the drinking and the smoking, because we were smoking from dawn till dusk. We were doing 14, 15, 16 cigars a day.
Oh, my God.
These are all powerhouse smokes. These are all ligas and, the
Jesus,
this kind of stuff. The way to Nicaragua.
Throat left. Goodness.
Hey, Joseph, you just carry on. I'm just gonna sit back here and listen to you. You just carry on.
It's 4 days. It's 4 days of eating, drinking, and smoking like top-notch cigars. And every night they bring out the special cigar of the night. These are unreleased. These are experimental. These are top of the line stuff that you'll never see in the States. These were like the cigar of the night that you had after dinner. So we're doing like 14, 15, 16 cigars a day. All right.
Easy.
And at the end of this, I'm like, you know what? When I get home, I'm not going to have a cigar for a month. I'm not going to smoke for a month. It's going to be forever. So I got home, woke up the next morning, and thought, wow, I could really use a cigar right now.
Yeah, it's kind of like hair of the dog. It's a little bit of that aspect. I
went from I'm never smoking again to, man, I need one right now. It's 6 a.m. and I need a cigar.
I mean, I don't even know if I could power through 15 cigars a day. That's a lot of smoking right there. That's crazy. Yeah, this is a great.
You're smoking the whole time. You get up in the morning and there's coffee with Flor de Caña rum in it, and they basically at the cigar safari, they have in the bungalows, they have tables set up that they fill with boxes of cigars. So you've got all the varieties. So you're like, I'll smoke this one now. I'll have this one while we're on the tour. And you go out and get another one for lunch. And then you dabble in the pool for a while and you go on another tour. And while you're there, you're smoking. And by immigration, or I don't know what the rules are with customs, you can take up to 100 cigars with you.
God, that's so crazy.
On the last day, everybody was scooping cigars out of the boxes and packing them in their luggage. I didn't do that because I thought that was rude. That's ugly American style.
Yeah.
I was like, ugly Americans, right? So I went up thinking I'll go grab a couple here, a couple there. Everybody was leaving. Oh, most people, me and my friend. Most people were leaving with 100 cigars.
That's crazy.
I left with 20. Part of the cigar safari, here I'm selling it. You get to blend your own. Wow. They take you through the steps of which tobaccos offers which flavors, and you get to blend your own. And then they send your recipe card to the rolling stations, and they roll your cigars for you. So on that last night before you leave, they take you upstairs, and everybody has their blends, bundled up with satin ribbon or whatever to take home. So that was 10 cigars. So I took that and like another 10 because I'm not an ugly American. Well, I'm ugly, but
You probably said it like you said before. Everyone's taking 100. They're just probably diving in that thing, just taking as much free shit as they could get.
Yeah, there was a lot of that, and it kind of pissed. Whoops.
Yeah, this is a good.
So, have you tried this? Are you there?
Yep.
Have you tried it with the cigar blend?
No. I was gonna try it with the Russells. Is what I was gonna try it with.
Well, that would be the last thing to do, because I've got this theory, and through lots of experimentation, it holds true. I'm right. There's one cigar that's perfect with every bourbon, and that is the Oliva V or the Oliva V Millennium. This goes with any bourbon. It's medium plus bodied. It has decent strength. But what's nice about this is that it's spicy and earthy and fruity, and it's just kind of, I want to say middle of the road, but it's better than that. It's more than that. This cigar goes with every bourbon.
That cigar you sent me one of the Oliva V's, which I had the other night. Right. Yep, I had that with some of the Foregate, the split stave, and that was fantastic.
Oh, that
cigar goes with everything.
Yeah, it was really good. It was really good.
That being said, there is one bourbon that goes with every cigar. Trust me. Okay? It's the Russell's Reserve Single Barrel. Obviously, if you get a store pick, that's better because they're premier. I mean, the Cat Nelson especially. Okay? This bourbon goes with every cigar.
All right.
Because that bourbon also, it's fruity, it's sweet, it's spicy, it's earthy. It's got proof, but not too much proof. So you could drink this Four Roses with, an Ashton, Connecticut, or an Oliva, Connecticut. All right, and it'll be great. And you know what? Oddly enough, the Oliva V and the Russell's Reserve are a perfect match.
I can see that. Now I just had this again with the Magnus, and for whatever reason, I'm just not pulling out. I'm not pulling out a ton in the Magnus. I'm getting a lot more with both of these with the Four Roses Small Batch Select. That's me.
Well, again, I've never had the Magnus, so I don't know if it's if it's what I was looking for. I was looking for those earthy, full-bodied, sweet, dark kind of bourbons.
And that's
a Stag Junior would be good.
Scott, when you say pulling out, you mean flavors from the cigar or flavors from the whiskey?
From the whiskey. Like for me, this is still right now falling a little bit flat. Like I get a lot more of the pepper in this, but not as much of the sweetness in this for whatever reason. I don't know why necessarily.
Again, I can't vouch.
Yeah. And this is
my first impression was to go with the Stag Junior to go with this with the Encore, which is brighter and spicier. I don't consider the Stag Junior generally spicy. I find more fruit and cherry.
You know what? I think I'm gonna finish
kind of
that.
things.
I'm gonna try it with this next. This is the A118, but it's 130.6 proof, and I'm always a huge fan of it.
Oh yeah, me too. I empty that bottle more than anything.
Yeah.
Well, the C18 anyway. So yeah, I'd be curious to see what that Elijah Craig does to the Encore, that brighter, spicier smoke. And at some point, we're gonna try the Russell's Reserve Single Barrel to prove my point. All right, here we go. This is a cork pop. Are you ready? Ready? Blueberries.
Oh, that was bad.
Actually, Mike Meyer in the chat said, "Don't get me started on Stag Junior." Did you guys hear that the new batch 14 is below 110?
What?
Yeah,
I'm okay with
That
that.
doesn't sound right.
yeah. Somebody told me that the new batch 14 is like 100 and I forgot who sent it to me. Something like 106, 107 proof on the new Stag Junior.
That doesn't even sound right.
Yeah, but I mean, if you think about the George T. Stag for 2019,
That's true. That's true.
only 116. I
That's
mean,
true.
is stuff just going lower, or are they actually watering the shit down
It's
to get more bottles out of it?
still delicious.
It's still delicious.
That 19 Stag is still delicious.
Yeah, the batch.
Well, maybe they're pulling from lower levels in the Rock House,
The batch
like
12.
the Stag.
Yeah, batch 12 will always be legendary.
Yeah, I haven't opened my 13 yet, but the 12 is dynamite.
No, so Keith Schmidt.
Okay,
Keith Schmidt was asking what I was smoking. That's the Perez Carrillo.
well, we've got two Carrillos. We've got the Encore, which is brighter, spicier, and the La Historia, which is
La Historia. That's what I'm smoking right now. La Historia. So far we're gonna take this to the test. So now this is the 130 proof Elijah Craig barrel proof. So we'll see what this pairing is.
It might step on that cigar a bit.
Man, I don't think so. I think it's a great pairing. Brings out all that boldness, that sweetness, that spice in this. But let's see what we get with this.
Oh yeah, I just poured the Russells. I gotta grab it here. Okay.
So,
yeah.
Cheers on the Russells.
So the Elijah Craig in this brought out a lot of chocolate and spice in this. So both like very kind of similar, but really complement each other very well. Like, I love this pairing right here.
Well, with this particular cigar and this Russells, the Russells it brought out the spice, and it basically tastes now like spiked butterscotch. Like if you took butterscotch and dropped some red pepper in it, oh my god!
And now, Jason, is the cigar you've got right now, is that Nicaraguan?
Yeah, it's a Nicaraguan. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Rose. I'm getting to the end here. The Rosalones, Nicaragua here. Yeah.
This Four Roses on the La Historia brought out more fruity spice on this cigar, which wasn't there before.
Boy, I really like this. I thought I liked it before with the Four Roses Small Batch Select, but stepping it up with this and the Elijah Craig Barrel Proof, man, oh man, is that delicious.
Now I'm going to try the Four Roses with the Encore.
With the what? Did you say Octomore?
The Encore.
Oh, I thought you said Encore.
Yeah. Octomore. I was like, what?
Yeah, you're not going to find any peat monsters in my house.
That's why I was surprised. I'm like, there's no way Brazeau's got some freaking Octomore in his house.
Well, that's a nice. It's actually the ash is really nice and kind of pretty tight on that bad boy too. So
you got a great ash there, Scott.
That is.
I'd like to just cup it with both hands.
I mean, who doesn't hey, at the end of the day, who doesn't like to tap that ash once in a while?
Tapping that ash.
Now the Four Roses with this Encore brought out more sugary sweetness and more graham cracker type things.
Oh, okay. So, all right. So 130.2 proof for, yeah, I guess I was lied to. That's bullshit.
Okay, so 130.2. Okay, so that's a little bit.
That sounds a lot more. That sounds a lot more correct.
I mean, you're talking 20 more proof. I mean, that's a big difference right there.
Yeah, that's crazy. I'm like, where the hell are they getting that shit from?
You know what? Even at 110 proof, I'd buy it.
Oh hell yeah!
Oh yeah!
I like the Stag Junior. I like the Stag Junior Batch 12 over the George T. Stag from last year. George T. Stagg last year at 116 proof was just missing something, and I felt like the Stagg Junior Batch 12 just kicked its ass.
And it's $340 cheaper.
Yeah. Yeah, I did.
I know my last bottle of 19 I got for retail. I scored it for retail, so I'm like, okay, no, this is great.
And listen.
So does anyone in the chat have any cigar questions? I know you're all bourbon pros, but maybe not cigar pros. If there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer. I've been doing this for 25 years.
All right, so Chad had a question for you. Here, I'll pull it up. You can see it. I don't know if you can see the chat or not. There you go.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
You guys have a certain length you smoke down and say it's
exactly.
Yeah, right now.
Exactly right. When it doesn't taste good anymore, put it down.
Yeah.
This is starting to get bitter now, so I'm putting it down.
Yeah, that's when I get when it gets bitter, when it gets really bitter and hot. Like at that point, it's just no longer enjoyable for me. So.
Yeah, if it doesn't taste good anymore, put it down.
Yeah.
Now don't smash it out.
No.
Like a cigarette.
Just set it there.
Don't do that.
No.
Just set it down and it'll go out by itself.
Yep.
Because when you do all those tars and nicotines and flavors and essential oils that have been building in that cigar, when you smash it out, they all come out at once.
Yeah.
And it's not a good thing.
And don't disrespect the cigar at that point either. So
right. Respect the stick.
That's right.
Yeah, respect the stick.
Chad, you're right. Smoke it till it doesn't taste good anymore.
Yep.
Yeah.
If you're lucky, it gets you to the band, and then you have to pull the band off and continue smoking. That's when you're lucky.
Oh my God, Brazers, you need to have. It has nothing to do with your business of being an orthodontist.
My wife is the orthodontist. I do all the lab work.
Okay, so yeah, just Brazers, orthodontics, respect the stick. It makes no sense, but it'd be an amazing shirt.
Respect the stick.
Over there?
Oh yeah.
All right, I'm turning my phone off.
Oh, here's another one. So this is always
saying, hey,
here's always an interesting one too. So I do once in a great while, not all the time, but do you retrohale? And that's always a little bit of a controversial thing. So
I tried it once, and I don't know if I was doing it right, but I did not enjoy it.
Yeah.
You probably weren't doing it right. I always retrohale.
Yeah.
Now, the secret to retrohaling, basically you get smoke in your mouth, all right? You press the tongue to the roof of your mouth, and then you exhale. What happens is some of that smoke, just a little bit, when you press it up, it'll get expressed out through your nose.
Yeah.
Okay? It's a technique. You got to work on it. Most people think it's inhaling because hail is in the word. You're not inhaling. If you inhale it, oh my God. I feel like you got kicked in the throat.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Do not inhale that thing. Like
don't
Joseph
inhale.
said. No, don't inhale it. Just
it's not a cigarette. Yeah. So basically you get some smoke in your mouth. You kind of exhale and press your tongue to the roof of your mouth at the same time. That way you can express a little bit out through your nose.
Yeah.
And that will reveal so much more flavor in the cigar.
Yeah.
That's what
obviously it's a technique. You have to learn the technique and you get used to it. Like I'll show you, but you can't see inside my mouth. So.
Yeah, it is. It's hard. It's hard.
As you saw, there was. I don't know if you can see or not. There's a little bit coming out of my nose. So basically, you're just pushing. So you're not blowing it out. You're pushing a little bit of the smoke through out your nose.
Yeah,
it's the best way I can describe it.
Like Chad.
And it enhances the flavor experience.
Like Chad says, this is what I do too. So I exhale until the last bit, then retrohale a tiny bit, no burn, but lots of flavor. That's what I do as well. Like I see a lot of people look like a dragon and they'll just blow they'll blow so much smoke out of their nose. I'm like, I can't do it, and I don't like to do it. Good.
Yeah.
That was a good
No,
pour
that'll
there.
fry your nostrils.
Like that
Good
long
pour.
pour. Nailed it.
Good pour. You did.
Yeah, I gotta say, I really like the Russell's Reserve with the cigar. I tend to go to more oaky bourbons when it comes to drinking with cigars, but the butterscotch note really comes out with the cigar.
Yeah. All right, Brazer. I'm gonna try your recommendation of the Russells right now.
It's going to go great with both sticks.
Yeah, I'm curious what you think, Scotty, because I think it's really good. I think Brazzers might have a point there.
Like you said, so right now
I'm not always right, but I'm never wrong.
yeah. This is like Jason just said. It's so much butterscotch. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly. It's insane.
It's a ton of butterscotch.
We'll try it with both sticks. Because even with the Encore, I get that some graham crackers, some butterscotch.
Here,
maybe some brown butter.
Here, am I doing it? Am I doing it wrong?
I don't know. That would be like pouring all of your samples into one glass, right?
Yeah. Here. This is even better. Tell me if I'm doing this right.
Oh,
you're not doing that right.
Scott doing the old walrus.
Backwards retrohale.
Hey, yeah. Here's Jeff Perkins.
So how many are in?
Here, Jeff said, when is the weed and whiskey pairing? Yeah. That's not done live, Jeff. That's not done live.
Yeah. That one's going to last like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I need some Doritos.
Keith Schmidt actually has a good question if you want to put that up, Scotty.
Yep. Okay.
You prefer the cigars that you smoke to be a little drier or humid when you smoke them? I hate fighting to keep it lit when they are not too wet. When they are too wet.
Well, when they're a little too wet, they won't burn right, especially the wrapper. You'll get a kind of a weird, the inside of the cigar will burn quicker than the wrapper.
Yep.
Too wet, too dry is always better, unless it's. See, I keep my humidor. I got a big cabinet humidor. I keep it at 68.
Yeah,
I know a lot of the experts, they say, 70.
Yeah.
Like, 70's too much humidity.
Yeah.
I keep mine at 68. Down to 65 is fine.
Yep.
If it gets too dry, then it burns really hot and really fast. It doesn't taste great.
Do you guys like to toast the ends? I'm kind of a huge fan of toasting the end before I really light it.
Always toast the ends.
Always, yep.
You basically you want to get it burning on its own before you take the first puff.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're going to get slammed with heat. Because you're basically going to be drawing in fire.
Yeah.
So you toast it until you toast it, you give it a little blow. If the entire end of the cigar glows, then you're good to go. Then you can start puffing.
Yep. So Travis asked before, so he was asking me like when your cigar goes out, how do you relight? So here's what I do. I always will scrape away as much of that other stuff, all of the burnt ash and as much of that. And then when I light it, I'll actually blow through it to get all of that nasty stuff out. Blow through it. Don't ever inhale that stuff. Blow it all out. And then you'll eliminate all of that nasty, carbon and all of that stuff. You don't want to if you suck all that in, it's going to be just a nasty char burn at that point anyway. So always blow that stuff out and get rid of as much of that stuff as possible.
That is spot on. That is called purging the cigar.
Yeah.
So when it goes out, you have to get up and do something, come back and it's out. Yeah. Yep. You knock off all of the ash and stuff like that. You retoast it and then blow out.
Yep.
As opposed to drawing in.
Yep.
So spot on, Scott.
Yep. God, I love this. I love this cigar. This is one I'm going to have to put in my little booklet of flavors and everything. I really enjoy this one.
I'm gonna have to pick one of those up this week and try it.
Yeah, this is really nice. Joseph, is this one you can find just about anywhere?
Just about anywhere.
Okay.
Yep. Um, there's a particular website I visit most of the time. There's two I spend too much money on. I probably shouldn't name them because that would be sponsorship or whatever. But one of the websites I go on, I recently got. Normally these come in a box of 10 at this website for about $70. I got a bundle of 25 for less than 100. They were having specials.
Oh my God. Of these?
I loaded up on those.
Oh my God.
They were just less than $5 a stick.
That's a steal right there. If you can get these for $5 a stick, that's a hell of a deal.
Yep. I did.
Scott, remind everybody, because Travis is asking, remind everyone what you're smoking right now.
This was the what was this? The La Historia. La Historia. La Historia. Yeah.
It's an EP Carrillo. We were also smoking the EP Carrillo, the Encore, which is basically, I don't want to say same stick, but after the La Historia came out, he came out with the Encore as his idea before he blended it. Ernesto Perez Carrillo was that, you go to a concert and, you have a great time, which was the La Historia.
Yeah.
But then, the band says, "Thank you, Cleveland," and they march off the stage. But, if you cheer loud enough, they'll come back and do another song or two. That's the Encore. So, the Encore was the second release in the La Historia series, basically.
Boy, this is a fantastic stick. So Travis, if you can find this, it's a really, really nice stick.
I do like it better than the Encore, but only by a little bit.
Yeah, this just seems to
I smoke a lot of. Yeah, I mean, everybody has a different palate. Everybody's gonna like what they like, just like bourbon. Yeah. People go, "Oh my God, that Basil Hayden is so good," and I try not to roll my eyes.
What's the wrapper on this?
They do not specify what the wrapper is, but it's all Nicaraguan tobacco.
It is
rolled in the Dominican Republic.
Okay.
This is the Historia is a Mexican San Andreas wrapper with fillers from Nicaragua and Honduras.
Oh, really? Okay. Boy, it's fantastic.
Now, I smoke almost exclusively Nicaraguans. A lot of AJ Fernandez, a lot of Padron, and a lot of Drew Estate. Like the
Dude, I mean, I'll tell you, Drew Estate, they're killing it with
and
so
the
much.
Olivas.
Yeah, Drew Estate's killing it right now, I'll tell you.
Yeah, and again, you can never go wrong with the Oliva V.
Yeah. It was
all the sizes. They're great sticks, and they go with any bourbon.
Yeah, I think the one I had the other night was the Torpedo, like a Toro. Man, that was fantastic.
Yeah, that was this one I sent you, right?
Yeah, it was. It was so good.
It is. It's a good stick.
Yeah.
It's strong, but not too strong.
Yep. So Chad's asking, okay, guys, real question, favorite cigar? Oh man. I like what Crown Heads is doing too. So I like a lot of their stuff.
I would have to say the best cigar I've had recently was probably the Romeo Juliet Connecticut 1875.
Wow, you're a newbie.
Yeah, I mean,
that's a newbie stick.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was one of the most flavorful and unique cigars I've had compared to others. But yeah, I like that one a lot.
Yeah, Padron there.
My favorite is the Padron, the 1926 Maduro.
Oh yeah, Padron.
But I've got a soft spot. I also have a soft spot for the Ratzilla from Drew Estate.
Have you so speaking of rats, have you had Year of the Rat?
I have. That's not the first time it's come out. It came out years ago. It had something to do with the hockey team in Tennessee. Because they used to throw rats on the ice when someone had a.
That was the. Well, so yeah, the deal was there was something was it Tampa Bay where I think it was like Mike Madonna or somebody like smacked a rat with like his hockey stick or something, and they started throwing all the rats and stuff on the ice. So that was the deal.
It may have been Tampa Bay. Yeah, I knew it was a hockey thing because in Detroit, where I'm from, during the playoffs, we throw octopi on the ice.
Yep.
All right. So it may have been Tampa. Yeah, maybe it was. They started throwing like rubber rats on the ice, like the Detroit fans throwing octopi on the ice.
Yeah.
And they set up in their like executive suites. They set up a cigar panel, and then Drew Estates made a cigar that was exclusive to that cigar panel, and that was the year of the rat. Because I think Tampa Bay got to the Stanley Cup Finals a few years ago.
Yeah.
I forgot.
But now it's been re-released with a gold band on it.
I forgot I had a Padron a while back from Jeremy Sears actually told me to pick it up, and that thing was pretty epic.
Yeah, Padron's Padron they're just tried and true, Well,
it's funny. Here's a little tidbit I've used for information. Everybody kind of blames Fidel Castro for destroying the cigar industry because in 1958, 59, he nationalized the cigar industry in Cuba, which before then it was, except for some Cameroon sticks and the cigar industry in Tampa, like Ybor City, which they used all Cuban tobacco. They call them clear Habanos, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, before that, all the cigars came from Cuba. And then Fidel Castro nationalized it. He basically, use of military, took over the cigar industry, right? So everybody blames him for destroying the cigar industry back then. But at the same time, you can credit him with our current cigar industry. Because all of those people that he nationalized, they all left Cuba.
Yep.
They moved to the Dominican Republic and Honduras and Nicaragua. They took seeds with them. They took their knowledge with them and, went elsewhere. So you can credit Fidel Castro for the cigar industry as it's known today.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a very good point. Not to say that there wouldn't have been cigars in those countries, but to your point, it would have never have been probably like it is now had they not been forced out of that country.
Correct.
Yeah.
I mean, they left. They filled their they filled their pockets with seeds and moved. They left the country.
Yeah.
Now, even those clear Habanos in Ybor City and Tampa, back then, those were all machine-made sticks. Those were all chopped up filler and homogenized wrappers and things. So, those weren't great sticks back then. Back then, the Cuban cigars were cigars. But again, he nationalized it, and all those cigar makers, they left. Which is another reason why Cuban cigars these days are not as good as they used to be. Because all of the pros left.
Yeah.
And all the people that stayed behind were lackeys. So even today, the Cuban cigar is not as good as it used to be. Unless you get the right one.
Yeah.
Then it's magic.
And a real one. Exactly.
So there's a little history for you. And JFK, before the embargo was in place, he scored 15,000 of his favorite cigar from Cuba.
Yeah.
Which I guess, I don't know, props.
It's kind of like
what's going to happen.
It's kind of like the Americans being down there in Honduras and grabbing all the 100 sticks or whatever. He just did it right before he implemented the embargo. I just loaded up before he couldn't get them anymore.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
well, absolutely fantastic stick. So, all right. Well, we're
so am I right? Is the Russell's Reserve just the best cigar bourbon?
I really like it. I mean, for me, it brought out a lot of the butterscotch in the Russells, and I really liked it with the Elijah Craig Barrel Proof as well. Two completely different bourbons, of course.
Yeah.
But I like what both of them offered. One was much, the Russells was sweeter, more butterscotch, and the Elijah Craig, it was just big and bold and flavorful, sweet, spicy. But I liked it both with this. Like this is a great pairing cigar for me. You know, this is one that I really enjoy.
You know, it's a better pairing cigar.
What's that?
De Oliva V.
Oh yeah, that was super good too. That was so good when I had it with
with any bourbon.
When I had it with that split stave, it did a lot of kind of between the Elijah Craig Barrel Proof and the Russells. It was kind of a combo of both of those, bold, sweet, butterscotch, flavorful. It was so good. Oh man, super good. All right, well we're almost an hour and 20 minutes in, so we can continue our conversation and everything offline. But everybody, thanks for joining tonight, and Joseph, thank you for having me. Thank you for all the cigars. And here's the other thing. So I mean, I appreciate being able to do this, and not only that, but more importantly, getting a bit of a lesson on a lot of these things. So I mean, I think this will be a really fun replay for a lot of people to watch, just to learn a little bit more about cigars and what they have to offer and a little bit of the history and everything. So anybody who gets a chance to watch the replay, I think you'll really enjoy the live stream. So thanks guys for joining tonight. Everybody, thank you so much for
how many were in the chat tonight? How high did we get?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe only into the 20s. My live streams don't ever.
I gotta ask though. What the hell are y'all doing in here?
Oh yeah, yeah. You're always good for that. You're always good for that, for sure. So, but no, thanks guys.
Thanks you for having me. This was a ball.
And I would love to do like another one just to talk a little bit more about just the history of things and talk about some different stuff, because there's no shortage of being able to, pick a region or wherever, a different country, and just explore like what that country has, to offer. So here's kind of one thing, just so you guys know, like what I wanted to do a little bit more with the channel was to introduce a little bit more, not only the bourbon stuff, but the cigar side of things too, because it's something else that I really enjoy doing. So hopefully you guys will like some of that stuff. And it's something I kind of want to do with the channel. So again, hopefully you'll be into that a little bit. So, what's Mike say? My wife will love when I buy some cigars. So of course, but all right, guys. So thanks again.
That's a slippery slope, man. It's a slippery slope.
It really is.
You think your bourbon collection is big? Wait till you start getting into cigars, and all bets are off.
Well, and that's another one of those things where this is not a cheap endeavor either. I mean, you can go. I mean,
it's cheaper than bourbon.
It's true. It's true. It's probably a little bit cheaper. So, but all right, guys, thanks for joining tonight. So stay there, everybody in the chat. Thank you so much for joining tonight in the chat. Cheers, guys. And
Jason, we'll see you tomorrow night.
Yep, we'll see. Yeah. So Jason, why don't you tell everybody
what you got going on? Jason's 2-year anniversary tomorrow.
Yeah, so tomorrow I'll be celebrating. Yeah, so tomorrow will be the 2-year anniversary. The 2-year anniversary to the day of the Mash and Drum. The first day I posted my first video was actually July 29th in 2018. So I
encourage everyone to go check that out tomorrow.
Yeah, going to be having a ton of special guests. We're doing a whiskey tube blind tasting. We're all going to have the same 4 drams to see universally which one comes out on top. You guys will tune in for that. It's going to be awesome. And going to be finally showing some clips of me playing some drums and take a look back at my first review I ever did, which was really weird. But we'll get into that. So tune in at 9 p.m.
Yeah, tomorrow will be a fun one.
Scott?
Yeah.
And Scott, keep drinking that weird stuff, man.
I know you do bust my balls with the weird stuff, so that's for sure. And I enjoy trying some of the weird stuff to see what it is that places from all over the United States have to offer, good, bad, indifferent, whatever it is. And my position with that is, I'm in no position to tell anybody that anything is bad. If you enjoy it, whatever it may be, then you enjoy it. That's the best part of cigars, whiskey, whatever it may be.
Hey, who knew that Woodinville was so good if it wasn't for me?
That's very that's very true. And here's the thing: had you not lived out there, if you saw I was drinking Woodinville and you lived on the East Coast, you'd be saying you're drinking that weird stuff again.
Yeah, it turns out I've sent out like 30 bottles to people. All the YouTubers and friends of the drink. Yeah, so now it's almost everywhere, so it's saving me a lot of money.
It's a really nice pour. So, all right, guys, thanks again, everybody in the chat. Thank you so much. I appreciate everybody joining. I appreciate everybody joining tonight. So we'll hopefully see you guys next Tuesday, and make sure you check out Jason's live tomorrow. Is it 9 Eastern?
Yeah, it'll be 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm doing a kind of this epic blind tasting in the beginning of the show.
Yeah.
At 10 p.m. Scott, you'll come on with 8 other channels, and we're going to be doing a collective blind tasting. It should be pretty cool.
Yeah,
I'm sure Scott will be reviewing a bourbon from South Dakota. I'm sure.
Oh yeah, we can mix something. I'm looking for some. If anyone's out there, I'm looking for some stuff from Hawaii. So anybody who can give me something from Hawaii, that'll be on there just for the BRAZER.
Hawaii for a long time was the only state in the United States that wasn't distilling, and now they are.
That is correct. I still question.
Hit up Don. Hit up Don. He lives in Hawaii.
I still question how much you could have much expansion and contraction in and out of the barrels in Hawaii, considering it's like always warm there. So anyway.
they just throw that shit in a volcano and then they bottle it.
That's true. They must find somewhere it's cold. I don't know what they do. So yeah.
All right, they toss a bourbon virgin into the big volcano.
That's true. That is true. All right, tune in to Jason's live tomorrow. We'll see you guys next Tuesday. Cheers.